Welcome to the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast, where we help farmers, ranchers, and business owners create a seamless transition plan for the future. From retirement to ownership transfer, we protect what you've built and guide you every step of the way.
Hello, all. Welcome back to the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast, where farm families turn hard conversations into real plans. I'm your host, Heidi Olson, where I'll guide you through tough conversations, the transition decisions, and everything in between. We're starting right where most families don't, at the beginning. September is Life Insurance Awareness Month, and we're unpacking how insurance can help protect your acres, your family, and your peace of mind. Without liquidity, even great legal docs crack. Insurance fills the cash gap, so families don't have to sell iron or acres under pressure. All right, a short story of a family who didn't have liquidity when Dad died. I was processing the estate. When putting the inventory together, I found Dad had over $400,000 in outstanding credit card debt and was maxed to the hilt on his operating loans with the bank. There was no liquid cash in his checking account or investments to sell. How was I going to pay off all these bills? I had to sell the best piece of farm ground to raise enough cash. Not to mention, prior to selling his farmland, I had to also remove a grain bag full of rotten wheat. Okay, so number one, if the family would have sold the grain before it rotted, they would have been able to pay down some of the debt. And number two, if Dad would have had life insurance, there would have been liquid cash available to pay bills and give his wife cash to live off of. And instead, his poor 90-year-old wife had to rack up credit card bills of her own for living expenses until I could fund her some money for her monthly care. What problems does life insurance actually solve on farms or in our family businesses? Let's break those down. It covers estate taxes and administrative costs. These costs are approximately 1.5% to 2% of the total value of the estate. This estate was not a taxable one. However, having life insurance could have prevented a lot of undue stress on his wife and children, not knowing how long it would take to find a buyer for the farmland that I had to sell. Not to mention, they now lost a piece of their family's legacy. Debt payoff and operating continuity keep the line current and cover next season's inputs. His son John was farming and could not get an operating loan until the current note was paid in full. The land John did farm was already mortgaged, and the bank said a big no to a bridge loan until proceeds were received from the sale of the land that I was selling. Heir equalization, on-farm child versus off-farm siblings. This is a good way to give the off-farm siblings an inheritance while the farming child receives the farm. Buy-sell funding, which is LLCs or partnerships. If one partner dies, who is going to write that check to the spouse so they're not one of your new business partners? Liquidity from insurance keeps your business out of the fire sale. LLCs own policies on each member. The LLCs buys the deceased member's units. I had a farmer pass just this past June. The life insurance policy paid within 10 days. The LLC wired his wife within 30 days and finished the buyout without even having to sell any assets of the LLC. Key person protection, which is who's the owner, the successor, or indispensable bookkeeper. If losing that key person would stop harvest, you have a key person risk. Could you hire an experienced operator today to continue with harvest? Or do you need to train? You would have a loss of income and the time it takes to find and train a replacement. What policies best fit the family business? All right, so here's a couple. I'm not going to go over all of them because I'm not an expert in life insurance. But what I am is I'm that person to help guide you find and make sure that all of your advisors are working in the right order. Term insurance, which is used for temporary needs, used in a short-term debt window. These policies are limited to a specific, could be 10, 15, or 20 years. And if you haven't used them, any of those term life insurance policy, you will not have a return on those funds you paid in when they term out. So here's a mythbuster. Term is always better, only if the need ends. If you have permanent needs, you need permanent dollars. A more practical policy is a permanent type of life insurance, such as dividend paying whole life. You'll have a lifetime of liquidity, which pairs with trust and the use of a cash value for flexibility for expenses during your lifetime, as well as a death benefit for your beneficiaries. Riders that manage on the farm. Waivers of premium, which keeps the policy intact if the payor is disabled. Paid up additions gives you additional cash value. Guaranteed insurability lets a beneficiary add coverage later without needing additional medical screening. Here's some ownership and beneficiary traps, or like I like to call them, the huge red flags. If you are the insured and the owner of the policy, the death benefits can be pulled into your estate. How do I fix this? Have an LLC or an irrevocable life insurance trust own the policy when the size of the estate warrants it. Keep the owner and beneficiary aligned. You, as the insured, can put the policy into an irrevocable life insurance trust. The trust is the owner, and the beneficiary will pay out the death benefits upon your death as you have directed in the trust agreement. Or you may choose to have the trust continue for a specific period of time to care for your beneficiaries. The trust can also be directed to pay your final bills and funeral expenses. Then the remaining funds are available for the benefit of your family to be paid per your wishes. Avoid unintended estate inclusion. You've worked hard for your money. Why let Uncle Sam get his hands on more of your estate? Any assets not owned directly by you will not be in your estate. This saves your estate processing fees and time. Check to see who the owners of your policies are. Who are the primary beneficiaries? Do you have contingent beneficiaries named if the primary beneficiary is deceased? Do these beneficiaries align with who you have listed in your will or trust? All right, story time. I once heard of a family situation where the husband passed and his life insurance beneficiaries were not looked at after his divorce. He had been remarried for more than 30 years. Who was the individual that received more than $630,000 in death benefits? His ex-wife. Be sure you are checking your beneficiaries each time you have a life event, such as a birth or death of a family member or change in marital status. Not all life insurance agents will review with you annually to be sure there have been no life changes. I've seen many policies that have been enforced for years. And when we need to update the policy, we had to go directly to the home office of the life insurance company as the agent was MIA. My role as a succession planner, overseeing the team, ensuring the attorney, CPA, life insurance agents, and trustees align on the why. I am the air traffic controller. I don't sell the policy. I make sure the dollars land in the right account at the right time. The attorney that drafts the buy-sell agreement or trust language and maps out the ownership and beneficiaries per your wishes. The accountant or CPA models the basis, outcomes, and tax treatments to limit your estate plan. That the life insurance agent underwrites a policy to cover all of your needs for the best estate plan, making sure the policy does not lapse before you pass. If you're creating a trust, the trustee receives the proceeds and disperses funds per your trust agreement. Here are some questions I've received on estate planning regarding life insurance. Number 1, if your partner died tomorrow, what exact check lands where and what clause or document authorizes it? Is it in your estate? Do you have a trust set up or is it in an LLC? Who owns each policy? If premiums aren't equal, where does the fairness live? In writing. Are you even concerned about fairness? My belief is fair isn't always equal. Do transfer on death deeds or account beneficiaries conflict with your policy's purpose? We need to make sure your entire estate plan aligns. Here's a toolbox tip. Look at your policies and write a line for each policy. This policy pays X amount to who, to fund what, and is stated or governed in what type of agreement? If you can't fill in these blanks, that's your homework for the week. If you'd like my policy inventory and gap checker worksheet, you can find a link in the show notes to use for your homework assignment. I recommend that you inventory every policy. Make sure you're looking at who is the owner, who's the insured, what's the face amount, does it cover enough for your estate plan? Do you have any riders on your insurance policy? But what is the premium amount? How are those premiums being paid? Are they being paid directly from your checking or savings account? Or are you having to write a check? Who are the beneficiaries or contingent and primary? And what is the main purpose of having that life insurance policy? Make sure you note any gaps versus your goals. At the end of the day, the right policy protects more than your business or farm. It protects your legacy. Thanks for joining me on the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast. If you found today's episode helpful, share it with a friend or business farm family. And if you're ready to start the conversation, let's talk. Book a 30-minute discovery call. You can connect with me at pathfinderlegacy.com. Until next time, I'll see you between the ditches.
Thanks for listening to the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast, where your future is our focus. Be sure to subscribe, follow us on social media, and visit us at pathfinderlegacy.com to start building your transition plan today.